Welcome to the new video. Today we are going to continue the plant kingdom, starting with a new subtopic, that is gymnosperms. Gymno means naked and sperma means seeds. That means gymnosperms in total means naked seed bearing plants. Okay. The gymnosperms are the plants in which ovules are not enclosed by any ovary wall and remain exposed. Okay, ovules are not covered by any ovary wall. Okay, in angiosperms. Okay, that means the flower producing plants, the ovules are enclosed by ovary wall. Okay, and the ovary further forms the fruit. But in gymnosperms, there are no ovary walls. So they are called as naked seeds or gymnosperms, both before and after fertilization. Then the seeds that develop post fertilization are not covered, that is, are naked. Gymnosperms include medium sized trees and also tall trees and shrubs. Okay, they include all kind of trees, all sized trees, that is medium, tall, or the shrubs also. One of the gymnosperm, the giant redwood tree, Sequoia, is one of the tallest tree species. Then, the roots are generally taproot. In gymnosperms, almost all trees have taproot system. Okay, I think you know what do you mean by taproot system. Okay. If you don't know, don't worry. Taproot system means we only have one, the main axial root to which many root hairs are arising. Okay, this is taproot system. But there is another kind of root system, that is fibrous root system. Okay, if this is the land and here is the tree or the plant, this is taproot system. And in fibrous root system, if this is the plant, then all the roots arise from the base of the plant. Okay, this is fibrous root system. Figure B is fibrous root system and figure A is taproot system. Okay, yes. Then okay, roots in some genera have fungal association in the form of mycorrhiza. Okay, see, the in chapter 1 also I had explained mycorrhiza means the symbiotic association between the fungal and the higher plants. There I said higher plants, here the higher plants are called as gymnosperms. Example is pinus. Okay, that means symbiotic association. That what do you mean by symbiotic association? That means they both work hand in hand. Okay, like both of them are beneficial over here. What does the fungal member do, and what does the gymnosperm member do, is what you have to comment in the comment box. Next, in some cases like cycas, small specialized root called as corolloid root are associated with nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria. Okay, so here they have explained what the gymnosperm member does and what the algal what is that called as cyanobacteria member does. Okay, in cycas root, okay, in cycas, like there are two types of root. The one is the normal root and another one is the corolloid root. Or corolloid root, like they are negatively geotrophic. That means they come up up of the ground. That means they are above the ground. Okay, and they have a special zone called as algal zone. Okay, in which cyanobacteria is present. Okay, cyanobacteria over here does nitrogen fixation, and the root provides the shelter for it. Then the stem are unbranched or maybe branched, unbranched in the case of cycas and branched in the case of pinus and centrus. Okay, not centrus, centrus. The leaves may be simple or compound. Simple leaves means where there is only one leaf blade. Okay, which we can commonly observe in the case of in the case of mango and all, those are simple leaves. But compound leaves are those leaves if you see in the case of neem. Okay, that is pinnately compound leaf. And in the case of papaya, it is palmately compound leaf. In compound leaf also there are two types, pinnately compound and palmately compound. This you will learn in morphology in the next upcoming classes. Then in cycas, the pinnate leaf persists for a few years. Okay, in cycas we have pinnately common leaf, compound leaf. Okay, pinnately compound leaf, if you observe in the case of neem, it's pinnately compound leaf. The leaves in gymnosperms are well adapted to withstand extreme of temperatures, humidity and wind. Okay, that means they are capable to handle high temperatures or the low temperatures, high humidity or low humidity, because extremes means it may be at the extreme high level or at the extreme low level also. Okay, in conifers, okay, the needle-like leaves surface reduce the surface area. Okay, their thick cuticle and shrunken stomata also help to reduce water loss. Okay, this is the adaptation of conifers to their environment. How did they adapt is by reducing their surface area. That means if like the leaves of the conifers were as good as the same leaves as mango or some other trees, there would be more surface area. That means there would be much amount of transpiration and more water loss. But because it is like needle, the surface area is reduced and the water which is transpirated also reduces. Their thick cuticle, okay, their thick cuticle and also the shrunken stomata also helps to reduce the water loss by transpiration. Next, gymnosperms are heterosporous. That means they have two different kinds of spores. They produce haploid microspore and megaspore. Microspore and megaspore. The two kinds of spores are produced within sporangia. They are born on sporophylls which are arranged spirally along an axis to form lax or compact strobili or cone. Okay, in cone we have sporophyll, in sporophyll we have sporangia, and in sporangia we have microspore or megaspore. If it is male it is microspore, if it is female it is megaspore. Okay, so how like how you come to the spores? First we have cones. Okay, so after that also the strobili bearing microsporophyll and megasporophyll are called as microsporangiate or male strobili. Okay, so strobili or cone has sporophyll, sporophyll has sporangia, and then sporangia has spores. Next, microspores develop into a male gametophytic generation which is highly reduced and is confined to only a limited number of cells. Okay, so the gametophytic generation is very like very condensed and it is limited to only some number of cells. This reduced gametophyte is called as pollen grain. The male microspore, the male the male spore or the microspore is called as pollen grain. Okay, the development of pollen grain takes place within the microsporangia. Okay, the cones bearing megasporophyll with ovuli or megasporangia are called microsporangiate or female strobili. That means the strobili which has ovules or megasporangia are called as macrosporangiate or female strobili. Okay, I think I said it is megasporangiate, but it's not megasporangiate, it is macrosporangiate. Okay, macrosporangiate or female strobili. The male or female cones or strobili may be born on the same plant. However, in cycas, male cones and female cones are born on different trees. Cycas, cycas has male cone in one tree and the female cone in another tree. But in pinus, it may be the case where it is bisexual. It may be having both the cones in the same tree, or it may be having cones in the different trees also, that is bisexual and unisexual. The megaspore mother cell. The megaspore mother cell is differentiated from one of the cells of nucellus. The nucellus is protected by envelopes of the composite structure is called an ovule. The ovule are borne on microsporophyll which may be clustered to form the female cone. Female cone is formed by the clustering of megasporophyll. Okay, and the ovule is born on megasporophyll. Then one of the cell of nucellus, okay, one of the cell of nucellus divides to form the ovule. Next, the megaspore mother cell divides mitotically. Sorry, where I was ovule. The ovule is born on the megasporophyll, which may be cluster of female cones. The megaspore mother cell divides mitotically to form 4 megaspores. Megaspore mother cell, that is MMC, divides to form 4 megaspores. One of the megaspore enclosed within the megasporangium develops into a multicellular female gametophyte that bears 2 or more what is this called as archegonia or female sex organ. The multicellular female gametophyte is also retained within the megasporangium. Okay, here they are explaining that megaspore mother cell, first of all, it divides into 4 megaspores, and then one of the megaspore, it's enclosed. It is enclosed, that means the megaspore is within the megasporangium to develop into a multicellular female gametophyte. Now it's developing into a multicellular female gametophyte, which is called as archegonia or female sex organ. The multicellular female gametophyte is also retained within the megasporangium. Unlike bryophytes and pteridophytes, in gymnosperms, the male and the female gametophyte do not have independent free living existence. In bryophytes and pteridophytes, we have like gametophytes were free living, and then sporophytes, in bryophytes, sporophytes was dependent on gametophyte. Okay, these remain within the sporangia retained on the sporophytes. Okay, as I had explained, in bryophytes it was very much against of pteridophytes, and both in bryophytes and pteridophytes the gametophyte was independent and free living, but in gymnosperms it's not so. They retain within the sporangia retained on the sporophytes. The pollen grain is released from the sporangium. They are carried in the air currents and come in contact with the opening of ovules, okay, born on megasporophyll. How they will come from microsporangium to megasporangium? It's by air current with the help of air. Okay, then pollen tube carrying the female gametes grows towards the archegonia in the ovule and discharge their content near the mouth of the archegonia. With the help of pollen tube, the archegonia or the male, not the archegonia, the male gametes grow towards the archegonia in the ovules and discharge their content near the mouth of archegonia. So once that pollen tube is formed, the male gametophytes come towards the archegonia, and then at the mouth, that means at the entry where the pollen grain can enter into the archegonia, at that side, at the door, you can say at the door of archegonia, the content of pollen grain is, or the male gamete is discharged. Then following fertilization, zygote develops into an embryo and ovules into seeds. These seeds are not covered, that means at lastly also they are saying that the seeds are naked, they are not covered by any other ovary. Okay, see over here you can find the diagrams. This is of cycas and this is for pinus. This diagram is of cycas, this is of pinus, and then this is of what is this, ginkgo. Maybe I am pronouncing it wrong, but you can see the third figure. Next, Angiosperms. Unlike gymnosperms, where the ovules are naked, in angiosperms, our flowering plants, the pollen grains and ovules are developed in specialized structure called flower. In angiosperms, we have specialized structure called as flowers in which both pollen grains and ovules are developed. In angiosperms, the seeds are enclosed by fruits. The angiosperms are exceptionally large groups of plants occurring in wide range of habits. They range in size from tiny, almost microscopic like Ulfia to tall trees like eucalyptus over 100 meters. They provide us with food, fodder, fuel, medicine, and several other commercial important products. Okay, so they are explaining that like they are present all over the habitat. And that means all over the world. Like, see, even if you like glance around you now, you have many flowering plants. That like you have many angiosperms than gymnosperms or pteridophytes. Okay, so they are trying to say this only, and they also vary in size. That means they have ranges of size also, like the very tiniest one, that is Wolfia, and also the very tallest tree, that is the eucalyptus, over hundreds of feet, hundreds of meter, not feet, it's above meter, 100 meters. Okay, and the uses are the providers food, fodder, fuel, medicine, and several other commercial important products. Okay, food, like whatever like most of the, you may say almost all the fruits, the vegetables you are eating are angiosperms. The fodder also is angiosperm. The fuel, like like they are making biofuels nowadays. Okay, they also are from angiosperm trees, plants only. The many of the angiosperms have medicinal uses also. Okay, and then some other commercial importance also. Then they are divided into two classes, that is dicot and monocot. See, dicotyledons and monocotyledons. Di means two, and cotyledons means, like in a seed, if you cut the seed, they divide into two pieces. Okay, that one piece is called as cotyledon, and some are monocotyledon. That means they have only one cotyledon. Dicotyledon and monocotyledon. The dicotyledons are characterized by having two cotyledons in their seeds, while monocotyledons have only one. The male, as I had explained, two cotyledons and one cotyledon. Okay, the male sex organ in the flower is stamen. Each stamen consists of slender filament with an anther at the tip. Okay, so they have male and female sex organs. Male sex organ has, is called as stamen and has two parts. One is filament and one is anther. Filament, is like a, okay, if you take this as a flower, my drawing is not that good, adjust it. It has two part, one is male and one other is female. Okay, the male one has, is called as what, is called as anther, no, stamen. Okay, and it has two parts, one is filament and one is anther. Okay, this is called as filament and this is called as anther. The stalk or the supporting structure is called as filament, and the upper portion is called as anther. And in female, okay, we are so let me read the sentence and then I'll explain. Monocotyledon. Each stamen consists of a slender filament with an anther at the tip. The anther, following meiosis, produces pollen grain. How the pollen grain are produced? They are produced by meiosis. The female sex organ in the flower is called as pistil. Now coming to the female sex organ. Okay, where is it? The female sex organ in a flower is pistil or carpel. Pistil or carpel. Pistil consists of an ovary enclosing one or many ovules within the ovule. Within ovules are present highly reduced female gametophyte termed embryo sac. Embryo sac formation is preceded by meiosis. Hence, each of the cell of embryo sac is haploid. Okay, so this is a very important point. You should mark it out. I did not mark angiosperm, sorry. Vessel consists of an ovary enclosing one or two ovules. Okay, from here it should be underlined. Within ovules, within ovules are present highly reduced female gametophyte termed embryo sac. Embryo sac formation is preceded by meiosis. Hence, each of the cell of embryo sac is haploid. Okay, whatever cells are present in embryo sac, all of them are haploid. Okay, whether it may be synergids, whether it may be the egg cell, okay, or whether it is the antipodal, all are haploid. Okay, the embryo sac has three celled egg. Okay, the embryo sac has three celled egg apparatus, one egg cell and two synergid, three antipodal cells and two polar nuclei. So what are the components of an embryo sac? Each embryo sac has three celled egg apparatus. One is the egg cell, and two are synergids, and three antipodals, and two polar nuclei. The polar nuclei eventually fuse to produce a diploid secondary nucleus. Okay, so this is an important point. In embryo sac, we have mainly three apparatus. One is the egg cell, we have two synergids and three antipodals. Okay, two synergids and one egg are at the base, and three antipodals are at the tip. Okay, then, and we also have two polar nuclei in the center of the cell. Two polar nuclei eventually fuse to produce a diploid secondary nucleus. If they fuse, they are called as secondary nuclei. Pollen grains, after dispersal from the anther, they are carried by wind or various other agents from the stigma to the stigma of a pistil. Okay, and this is termed as what? Pollination. Okay, see, once the dispersion, okay, dispersion of pollen grains occur at the anther, the pollen grains are carried from the pollen grain, what is it called as, anther to the stigma by wind or many other agents. Okay, the other agents may be we humans, or maybe insects, or maybe some reptiles. Okay, there are so many agents, or maybe in the case of aquatic plants it may be water also. Okay, so these all are the agents, and the the process in which the pollen grain comes from anther to the stigma is called as what? Pollination. Next, the pollen grains germinate on the stigma, and resulting pollen tube grows through the tissues of stigma and style and reach the ovule. Okay, sorry, I forgot to explain. No, the female, first thing, it has an ovary. Okay, sorry, this is the stigma, this is the style, and here we have an ovary. Okay, this stigma, is the sticky part of the female. This is the style, and this is the ovary. Ovary is where this is the style, and this is the stigma. Stigma, style, and ovary. Stigma is where anther comes and lands. Okay, style is where pollen tube develops, and ovary is where the fusion takes place and the female gametophyte is present. Okay, I'll erase this later on. Now continuing with the same thing, the pollen grains germinate on the stigma and resting pollen tube and the resting pollen tube grows through the tissues of the stigma and style. As I had explained, the pollen tube starts to germinate from the stigma and through the style, and then comes to the ovary and reaches the ovary. The pollen tube enters the embryo sac where two male gametes are discharged. Okay, in male gametes also there are two male gametes in one anther only. One is the vegetative cell and one is the germinative cell. Okay, you will learn in the second year. Two male gametes are discharged. One of the male gamete fuses with the egg cell of the zygote. Okay, and the other gamete fuses with the diploid secondary nucleus to produce triploid primary endosperm nucleus. This is very important. Okay, so what is it? There are first of all two male gametes discharge. One gamete fuses with the egg cell to form the zygote. Okay, which is called as syngamy, and the other male gamete fuses with the diploid secondary nucleus to form a triploid primary endosperm nuclei. Okay, that is called as pen in short form. Okay, it should be underlined till here. Because of the involvement of fusion, two fusions, this event is called as double fertilization. Okay, this is very important. Double fertilization and triple fusion are very confusing. Okay, if you say it is triple fusion, triple fusion is in the case of formation of triploid primary endosperm nuclei. Triple fusion is in the form of forming triploid primary endosperm nuclei. Okay, this you learn in second year, however they have not mentioned over here. So let us go to the next point. Then you just keep in your mind that this process in totally is called as double fertilization and triple fusion. An event unique to angiosperms. Okay, double fertilization is unique from angiosperms. Then the zygote development develops into an embryo, and the pen develops into an endosperm. You can't say pen, it is also it is said as pen only. Okay, and pen develops into endosperm, which provides nourishment to the developing embryo. The synergids and antipodals degenerate after fertilization. Okay, after fertilization what all degenerates? It is the synergids and the antipodal. Okay, and pen develops into the nourishing it develops into the endosperm, which nourishes the embryo, and then the zygote develops into an embryo. During this event, the ovules develop into seeds and ovary develops into fruit. Ovules into seeds and ovary into fruit. It's very very important. We should not confuse over here. If a question it comes in need, like what like after fertilization what ovules and ovary develop into, you should not be confused whether ovary develops into fruit or ovules develop into fruit. So ovules develop into seed and ovary develops into fruit. Okay, the life cycle of angiosperm is shown below. Okay, so this is the life cycle of angiosperm. See, they have explained very very correctly over here. This is the sporophyte, that means the normal angiosperm plant which we see. This is the sporophyte, and then we in sporophyte we have special structures called as flowers. Okay, these are lobe parts is called as flowers. In flowers we have both anther, okay, and the female gametophyte, which is called which has three structures in it, as the stigma, style and ovary. Anthers, okay, maybe this will disturb us a lot. Okay, this is good. Now this is the anther and the filament. In anther we have microsporangium, and microsporangium has microspore mother cell. Microspore mother cell divide mitotically and meiotically to produce microspores, and then microspores they germinate. No, they don't germinate. They undergo pollination. Okay, after pollination they come to where? They come to stigma. Okay, now coming to the generation of female gametophyte. Okay, gametophyte, first in ovary we have megasporangium, and megasporangium has a megaspore mother cell which divides both mitotically and meiotically to produce one egg. There is only one egg produced. Okay, it may vary in different plants, because see the number of seeds we have, that many number of ovules are produced in one flower. Okay, next, the megaspore mother cell divides both mitotically and meiotically to produce one egg cell, and then when the megaspore microspore, that is pollen grain, comes on stigma through chemical interaction, if the anther is of the correct genus and the correct species, it it is very much successful in germinating through pollen tube. The pollen tube is germinated and then it reaches through at the door, and then fusion occurs, and then the zygote formation, and then the embryo formation, and then which leads to again the sporophytic phase. The gametophytic phase is always haploid, that means n number of chromosomes are present, and sporophytic is always diploid, that means 2n number of chromosomes are present. Okay, so this ends our topic today. Thank you. If you have liked my explanation and all, please subscribe and hit the like button. Okay, thank you. And if you have any doubts, you can comment it down. Thank you.